Here is what we are fucking talking about. How to improve the show. Here's the shit that I wrote down, okay? And you'll have to forgive me. I might be looking at my phone. I'll hold it off camera, but, I want to get some of these thoughts right. And listen, they are not perfect. Because the perfect solution to this show is to not even make it. Okay, so that's already out. That option's done. So, this is just trying to improve what they had already characters they had already sort of established, or characters they could take out, or scenes they could move, or whatever. This is what I got. I wrote this in about 5 minutes. I thought about it for a long time, but it took me about 5 minutes to write each of these. Take out Thorn. Completely remove that character. Instead, only have Beale, Okafor, and Jadis as the main contacts of that series for Rick. Maybe instead of Thorn getting the briefing, Jadis gets the briefing. We could see what Jadis is really actually betting on, like what this cause is that she keeps talking about, that she believes so wholeheartedly. That would be interesting. I said, maybe show, you could do this through montage. There's lots of ways you can do this. You can cut out a lot of extraneous BS with Jadis and Thorn and all of that stuff through that time, through montages or just quick cutting and, good use of time. Also, take out the dream sequences. Take those out completely too. Save that time for what I'm about to say. Maybe show some more time of Rick moving on so that the impact of him running into Michonne is that much more painful instead of him accepting it seemingly 5 minutes before she shoots him down with Nat and then finds him. So basically what I'm saying is show that Rick goes on to have a life. It's not a great life. Maybe he sleeps with other people. Maybe Jadis uses her position over him and forces him to have a relationship with her. And then Michonne sees that. I mean, imagine the interpersonal drama there. We teased it in the main show. We teased it in the show. I lay with him after. Use it. You already established it. That's on you. Use it, Scott. I'm looking at you, Scott. So, imagine that, because then he thinks that she's not coming. He's given up. He's with Jadis now. He has a life. Things are going okay. He's well respected. He's moving up in the ranks. Soon he's going to be getting the echelon briefing. Then Michonne shows up and he goes, "Fuck. You can't outrun your past." That's always interesting to watch on screen. You can't outrun your past. Make things less convenient for Rick and Michonne. So when they shoot down the helicopter, why don't they shoot down one helicopter with Okafor and a bunch of people in it, and then Rick is the one who shows up to the beacon site to save them, and as he is lowering down, he's the one who picks up Michonne. So instead of having his gun on Michonne, he discovers Michonne near the wreckage, next to Nat's dead body and all of these CRM guys, and he brings her in. It's an option. Possibly, maybe explore the idea of Michonne actually escaping like Rick planned and figure out a way to infiltrate from the outside. Why not? I mean, we really didn't learn much about the secret city and everything like that. Maybe she could have found a secret way in, or there's tunnels, or there's a small group of rebels. I mean, there's lots of things you could... Audio's rolling. Sorry, battery died. Maybe actually have Michonne try to escape like Rick planned and figure out a way to infiltrate from the outside. Maybe they talked about the secret city. Maybe there's somebody who can help her. Maybe the guy who knows about the sewage fucking system, the Hispanic guy that everybody in the Walking Dead fan base loves, that I think he's a great comedian, for one, that most people don't realize that, but he's a great comedian. Have him fucking help her. Because then instead of her meeting the guy who draws the fucking pictures, she meets him and he's like, "Wait a minute, you're Michonne. Like, man, he talks about you all the time, man. Like, he told me not to say anything, but, it's not really my thing. You know what I mean? Like, it could have been funny, but also effective. Instead of just, pulling at your heartstrings, but ultimately not a huge amount of payoff. I know he got the picture of Carl, and that's very sweet, and I did like that. I didn't like the scene used to get there. You know what I mean? I just didn't. So now we're going to get into some very different ideas. Keep Nat alive until the explosion of the CRM. Have it be an accident and not part of the plan, but it ended up benefiting Michonne in the end. We lose a beloved character, but he died a noble death so that others may live on. Imagine Nat, knowing that he will die if he's captured. He ties himself to the pins. He kills himself, and instead of Thorn, Beale has his gun raised at Rick and Michonne, and he sees a Walker version of Nat walking towards him, and then the pins get pulled. The explosion takes out Beale and most of the people at the CRM. Michonne then mourns Nat, and Rick goes on to be grateful for his sacrifice, kind of like what happened in that field where Rick got his gun on Michonne and they were going to get picked up by the CRM. But this time, instead of Michonne just using what Nat taught her, Nat got to be present for this. He actually got to help fulfill the mission, okay, of not just finding Rick, but helping her find him and bring him home. Plus, that actor, he deserved more screen time than what he got. I actually really enjoyed Matthew Jeffers. And I actually told him that on Instagram, and he responded. So good on you, Matthew. If you see this, I like you. This is a more broad. This isn't a specific thing that they could do. Hold on. I don't like what I just did. So this is more broad. This isn't something super specific that they could do because there's too many instances of this for me to go through individually, pick it out and kind of go, that needs to be changed, that needs to be changed, that needs to be changed. Way too much of that. If you see me getting red, it's because these may be LEDs, but fuck it if they don't get warm, okay? They don't get hot, but they get warm. And I have to turn the AC off for these fucking reviews, so you get it. Characters should say what they feel or communicate more openly like they did in the first 3 episodes. Remove the elements of exposition dumping. Let the mystery remain. And through detective work, Rick finds out what the briefing is before Beale or anyone tells him. Why not? Why not? Rick was a cop. I would like to see him use his cop instincts rather than his stance and how he fires a gun. Okay? You know, there was more that went into it than that. So, that's an option. Take away the sex in the show until they escape fully. Hell, even sex in the getaway car would be a nice callback to Shane and Andrea when Shane was thinking of leaving the group along with Andrea. Parallels. Shout out George Lucas. It's like poetry, it rhymes. Okay. These two are longer and a little bit more detailed. Don't rush the ending. Show me the CRM getting dismantled. Don't tell me how it all works out in the end. Show montages of riots in the streets of the secret city and people now discovering the truth. Maybe even a shot of people at the Commonwealth shooting down a different helicopter. Or better yet, finding Jadis, capturing her, and making her talk. Like maybe if you did those flashbacks, maybe have Gabriel actually pull a fast one on her. So instead of her dying before then, he brings other people and they just kind of like reveal themselves from behind the trees. You know what I mean? You wouldn't expect Father Gabriel to break his vows, but he's like, you broke yours. It's for the greater good. Once they find out the plans, have them execute Jadis and stand by ready to fight. The whole community is geared up for war when a new helicopter starts to fly in. Eugene is able to get contact with them through their radio. And then through the walkie, he hears Michonne's voice. Judith overhears that because she's been spending time with Eugene trying to reach her mother this entire time. She smiles at Eugene and runs out the door. The community arrives, sword and weapons in hand, but sees Michonne step out of the helicopter. The whole community smiles and welcomes her, and then when she turns around and smiles, everyone else's faces look as if they've seen a ghost. Out steps Rick motherfucking Grimes. He slowly walks towards the people, and before he gets halfway there, they all sprint to him and embrace him. Aaron, Gabe, Judith, Ezekiel, Eugene, everybody. And maybe in addition to this, I know that you can't. The Daryl Dixon Show already exists. They can't go back and change any of these. These are just different ideas. Off in the distance, we see Daryl lingering, unable to see what's going on through all the commotion. He assumes that it's Michonne's return. And maybe he sees Michonne. Off in the distance, we hear Judith shout, "Uncle Daryl, look who's here!" And just like when he saw Carol and ran to embrace her, he sees his brother Rick standing there with tears welling up in his eyes. They run towards each other, both crying. Rick looks to Judith and RJ and then back to Daryl, and Daryl smiles at Rick the first time we've seen him smile in what feels like eternity. He calmly says, "I kept him safe, brother." Rick embraces Daryl. Rick says, "There's no one they would have been safer with. I've missed you, brother." Michonne looks on with happy tears in her eyes for Rick to be united with Daryl, finally. They all walk off and celebrate together. White flash forward. A beautiful woman who bears a striking resemblance to Lori sits with her kid and reads her son Carl, named after her fallen brother, a story. We hear a familiar tale being told as the story winds to an end. We see that it's a book comprised of the stories of recent history, her father and mother, her uncles, fighting the good fight, titled after Rick's grandfather's story that he told Rick all those years ago. The Walking Dead. She kisses her son on the forehead before he runs off to go fish with RJ, now going by Richard. Richard walks with a similar gait to his father, with 2 fishing poles in hand, and a young Carl running by his side. He looks up and smiles at an elderly couple sitting on their porch in rocking chairs. Or just sitting there. It's Rick and Michonne, old, holding hands, while Rick sits with a new prosthesis similar to that one in the comics. Michonne turns to Rick smiling as always and says, "We're the ones who live." Rick calmly smiles at her and nods and goes, "Yes, we are." Those were some ideas. Overall, I cannot say that I loved this show. I can't say that I loved it. I enjoyed it. I was really happy to get to see Rick Grimes again and to see some of his story have a conclusion. But man, I'd be lying if I said that the ending didn't just so disappoint me that it kind of ruined the whole thing for me. Understand this, you guys. I don't want to feel this way. Who would? I would love to just watch this show of characters that I have loved and cared about over the years and just watch it be fucking awesome and just take twists and turns I never saw coming, and the acting is just brilliant and the writing's even better and an ending that I couldn't have written. You know what I mean? That's why I love movies. That's why I got into acting and writing and directing and filmmaking and all of those things. Because those stories had such a profound impact on me as a person. But let me tell you something. If this is how The Walking Dead had started out, I never would have continued watching it. I just couldn't, man. It was because of that original series and the first 5 seasons of that show that gave it so much goodwill. I mean, I had no idea I even liked the zombie genre until I saw The Walking Dead, man. They quite literally, no pun intended, brought that shit back from the dead. And it held my fucking interest, and everybody had a character that they related to because they go like, God, these feel so real. Well fucking done. By the end, I didn't feel like I could relate to these characters. I go, I'd be more emotional than that. I wouldn't have done that. I could have thought of something better, and I feel like I did. It was just very disappointing. To the point where, if I look back on it, I will likely forget most of it. The things that I will remember, I'll remember from the first 3 episodes. And maybe the explosion at the CRM, just because of the spectacle of it. It won't have any quotable lines of dialogue like the original show did for so long. It won't have rewatch value like the original show did for so long. I'm just very disappointed. I know that most of the Walking Dead fan base believes that if you're a fan, you shouldn't criticize the show. Just stop watching. It's not for you. No, that's not true. It is for me. It was for me. But they stopped being what they were, okay? This is not the man I married. You know what I mean? Like I said, had The Walking Dead started off the way that the main series had finished, or the way that this spinoff had gone with the writing and stuff, I wouldn't have gotten into it. I would have thought that, I would have taken away that these actors are doing a lot with very little. It sucks, man. I genuinely mean this when I say it. Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerrera deserved better. They put their entire souls into these characters. They really brought them to life in a way that most people just didn't see coming. Nobody thought this was going to pop off the way that it did. There was no guarantees of that. But they deserved better. To start off with so much action just to peter out to an abysmal finish. I'm sure you all already know this. It is not about how you start anything, it's about how you finish. Nobody remembers the start of the race. People only remember who crosses the finish line and who wins. But you were so focused on just running so fast at the start of this marathon, sprinting at the start of this marathon, that you gassed yourself and you just could barely hobble to the fucking end, and just you're dehydrated and exhausted and you lost. I mean, you were like 188th place out of 1,000 people. It wasn't memorable at all. You don't get a participation trophy. Not in a show, not like this. There is no participation trophy, nor should there be. You have to make stuff that can stand on its own. But this show does not hold up under scrutiny. The first 5 or 6 seasons of The Walking Dead could really hold up under scrutiny. You could explain away why a character, based on what you saw and based on the dialogue that they had and the performance that they gave, that they thought this way, they did this thing, they wanted to do this. It was all there. It birthed so many YouTube channels that are devoted to this topic. It birthed an entire fandom that spans tens of millions of people across the globe. They even call themselves the Walking Dead family. And this felt like you abandoned your family in their moment of need. We needed you guys. We needed you guys to bring this fucking thing home. So bad. We all wanted it to be a win for you. But I'm an honest guy. And I cannot say that that is a flawless show. It's not even close. I cannot say it's anywhere near my favorite television, and that upsets me. I know my name is The Walking David, and I'm just supposed to rave about The Walking Dead. But I hold on to the parts of The Walking Dead that are good. I remember them for what they are. I'll cherry pick. I'll find some things that I like. I'll do my impressions, and I will try to keep The Walking Dead alive in a way that is fun and entertaining still for people, even when these actors have long stopped. I just wish that the people running the show put the same kind of tender love and care into the show that I would have. That any fan, any true fan who can see the flaws right in front of your face would have. The acting in this show from Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerrera was A+. God, I wanted so badly to feel different about this. The writing. The first 3 episodes. B+, maybe even some A writing in those first 3 episodes. Those last 3, D. It kept getting worse. Each episode got worse. I won't say that, actually. 4 and 5 got worse. 6 was a little bit more procedural, go from this point to this point, so it made sense. I liked 6 better than I liked 5, and 5 had me wishing for Denai Guerrera's writing, but listen, you guys, like, I just can't praise it. I've seen too many good shows. I've seen too many good scripts. I read scripts all the time. I read hundreds of scripts a year. I've been a judge for screenplays at multiple film festivals. I've read, and at each of those festivals, I was reading 70 to 100 scripts to judge just for the one festival. And I've read better shit than this. That if I gave it to any of these people and explained the people in it, explained the pieces on this chessboard, they would execute a masterclass in writing. You don't know what you're missing because You just don't understand what some of these people are capable of. You've lost sight of it because when you don't hold people in television to a high standard, they will give you lower and lower crap. It's just like in life. If you settle for someone treating you like shit, then you will only have people treat you like shit. They will only treat you like a fucking doormat. They will not show you respect. They will not respect your intelligence or your fucking time, your money, nothing. You are encouraging them to take advantage of you. And I feel taken advantage of by this. I don't care if you think that that's extreme to say. I refuse to be boring in my opinion. You don't want to watch that shit anyway. Even the people who've already clicked the fuck off of this, you got more out of this getting pissed off than me just jerking you off and telling you're doing fucking perfect. You know what I mean? Like, you'd get nothing out of that. You'd learn nothing about yourself or the show or anything. Fuck. Best part of this show is probably the cinematography. It looked great. And those first 3 episodes genuinely looked fantastic. And the last 3, they still looked good, but by the end, by episode 5 and the first part of episode 6, it just looked like another Walking Dead episode. But those first 3 episodes, man, when like Rick and Michonne and Jadis are in those like darkly lit rooms and everything, even episode 4 had it, it looked great. It looked fucking great. The special effects were good. The gore was good. I was glad to see some violence again in it. That was great. The dropping of the F-bombs, let's go back to the writing for 2 seconds, using cursing in the show really fucking helped sell it. It really did. I don't care if anybody thinks it's a stupid fucking point. It is not stupid. It is how actual people in an actual fucking apocalypse who are actually pissed would talk. Okay? It is how actual people fucking talk. Not this cyclical, we're not them, they're not us, we gotta go, we can't go, I gotta leave, you can't leave because I gotta leave. They don't talk like this. People don't speak this way. The editing for the first 3 episodes, once again, decent. The editing of the 4th episode, not bad. The editing of the 5th episode, boring. Boring. 6th, typical episode. Felt like Fear the Walking Dead. Felt like I was watching season 4 of Fear the Walking Dead, the last 2 episodes. So that's the acting, it's the writing, it's the cinematography, the directing. I'm like I said, I'll give those first 3 episodes way more props. Those last 3, the fact that you let Terry O'Quinn give such a meh performance, you know, could have had Eric Roberts do that performance. It would have been just as fine. The fact that you allowed Denai Guerrera to write the episode, even though I do not believe that she is a seasoned writer when it comes to these characters, I don't think that's good. I'm sorry. I don't think in a limited series that we have enough episodes to just give it to one of the actors to let them write it. And even still, I don't think she was the best person to do that. She had moments in that script that were really well written for her. Michonne was able to say real things, but Rick did not speak the way that Michonne did. Michonne felt honest in that episode, and Rick felt gimply. He had gimples all over him. Riddled with gimples is the name of this video. Producing. I'm going to try not to get as upset. To put it lightly, you guys messed up. You messed up. Bad. You misappropriated your funds. You cut certain scenes that surely would have improved the episodes. $96 million on a 6-episode run. Now, you may be looking at that going, well, if 2 episodes is a movie, like it was supposed to be, then really they only had $32 million per movie, which is like an indie. And it's like, you know what? For you to have characters roaming through the woods so much and something that you spent this much money on, misappropriated funds. And I believe if the actors really wanted to see this come to fruition, if they wanted it to be their best, then somebody should have sacrificed fucking something. Somebody should have. some of the producers, somebody on the back end, or just put more money towards it. Don't act like you don't have it. Don't act like you don't have it. You do. You know how I know you do? You're still making shows. You've already greenlit season 3 of Daryl Dixon. You've already greenlit season 3 of Dead City. And you're just going to make more. So don't act like you don't have the money. You do. But you'd rather hold it. You'd rather save it. You're just being selfish. You're just hoarding it for your own selfish purposes. You'd rather make watered down spinoffs than take some time and care to just one spinoff at a time, nailing that and then doing a different one. You know what I mean? You're diluting and diluting and diluting down until eventually this, it will just be clear water. Perfectly distilled entertainment. I so badly wanted to like it, man. I really gave it some time. And I know it would benefit my YouTube channel to love it. I know I would gain thousands of followers to love it. I just can't. It's not how I feel. And if you're going to subscribe to me, you need to know how I feel, not how you want to feel. And you can disagree with me, that's fine. Explain what you disagree with and have a normal adult conversation. I'm not going out of my way to bash anybody. I'm putting up my opinion on my YouTube channel, and if people watch it, great, and if they don't, it's whatever. If they love what I said, great. If they don't love what I said, it really doesn't make much of a difference, okay? I already reviewed each episode honestly. I already felt this way. It's just I took some additional time to see if I changed my opinions at all, and it just never hit me better. Even going back with rose-colored glasses, I'm left wanting. I'm just left wanting. So, The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. It could have been great. It really could have, man.